What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best entertainment-related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. So Ninja has, of course, been released from his contract with Mixer, or it, finished up. And Mixer, of course, ended up, guys, having to essentially merge into Facebook Gaming. And with that, Ninja as well as Shroud are able to pick and choose where it is that they want to go. And with that, even though nothing has been signed as of yet as far as an exclusivity deal is concerned, Ninja has streamed on YouTube. And so the real question here is since Ninja did this, does this mean that he's most likely going to sign with YouTube? Or does it mean just kind of widespread speculation that he just wanted to get back into the streaming realm? Let's talk about it. So guys, obviously Ninja, streaming on YouTube, it's a pretty big deal. And some people thought that it wasn't that big of a deal, that this doesn't really mean anything of what could be coming. Now, what would be interesting, obviously, is if Ninja decides to go ahead and stream on Facebook Gaming, or he decides to come back and stream on Twitch again, as he's looking to see which exclusivity deal he would like. The beautiful thing for Ninja is that he can pretty much pick and choose whatever he wants at this point, and he got a lot of viewers based on his first YouTube stream, that being like over 100,000 concurrent, viewers, which is a really big deal. Now, to me, YouTube makes the most sense, in my opinion, because he already has a huge following on YouTube. There was like a real bridge that was burned when it came to, him and Twitch. And Facebook Gaming, he already, basically stated that he didn't want to sign with Facebook Gaming after it was, after Mixer was merged into Facebook Gaming. They offered him even more than what he was going to, more than what he was getting with Mixer. And so him as well as Shroud decided to still stay away from, from Facebook Gaming, which is really interesting to me, because I actually believe, guys, that Facebook Gaming has a better chance, as longer legs in my opinion, than that of Mixer. And it's not really because that, Mixer was just not set up as good as Facebook. I just think that Facebook, guys, the brand itself is something that may have longer legs. I think that the Facebook Gaming, anytime someone gets on Facebook, if you're like following certain, you're a part of like different communities, whether they're gaming communities and such on Facebook, a lot of times you'll see the people from those communities that are streaming. And so I think that, in my opinion, Facebook Gaming makes a lot of sense, a lot more sense than that of Mixer. However, maybe Ninja just didn't want to be a part of that whole scene anymore, like Mixer, or being a part of, even though they're merging into Facebook Gaming. Maybe he just wants to have open reign of what he wants to do, whether that's to create like a whole new streaming platform, whether that means to join Brime or, be a part of YouTube. YouTube makes the most sense, in my opinion, simply because that, as well as Facebook Gaming, but YouTube, really, he already has this massive following on YouTube. So really kind of just catering to all of his fans on YouTube makes a lot of sense. Now, whether or not that's going to happen is hard to say. It sounds like from, recent, statements from Slasher, who's of course an esports consultant, as well as, he gets a lot of, news guys that comes through him and from his sources. It sounds like, as far as, Ninja is concerned, and that being, as well as YouTube, as well as Twitch, they're not really in a rush to sign more exclusivity deals to streamers, simply because of the failure that was Mixer. So we saw how that worked out. And then on top of that, with the pandemic going on, ad rates are down and things of that nature. So when we look at everything, guys, it just seems to me that these other big platforms are not planning on signing these big exclusivity deals, at least for the time being. Now, with that doesn't mean that they're never going to do exclusivity deals again. It probably just means, guys, that, during this period of time, this pandemic going on in our world, we may just have to kind of, they're probably just going to take their time with it. They're probably going to just kind of wait and see and, kind of go slowly at this thing. Obviously, we saw what happens when streamers go to another platform, get a huge deal, and if the platform doesn't have a very good, foundation or structure, it fails, in that being Mixer. And so I think that these other platforms, that being like YouTube gaming as well as Twitch and even Facebook, they are going to simply, obviously, I think that they all want to have these, exclusive streamers on their platforms, but I think that they're starting to realize that just because you have those streamers doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the numbers, or it's going to really justify paying millions of dollars for these streamers. It doesn't really justify it, especially with the ad rates and things of that nature going on. So with that, I think the real question now lies in how long will, Ninja and Shroud, all of these different streamers that are looking for exclusivity deals and such, how long are they going to have to wait? Or are they going to wait? Are they just going to kind of wait it out and see what happens? Or are they just going to kind of stream? Because this could have been, Ninja streaming on YouTube very well could have been just a sign that he's just going to take his time. He's going to stream on YouTube a little bit. Maybe he's going to, stream a little bit on Facebook Gaming, maybe a little bit on Twitch again. Who knows? But all we do know, guys, is that maybe they're taking their time, as well as, these big streaming platforms. But let me know what you guys think. Ninja streaming on YouTube. Does that tell you guys that he's probably going to be signing with YouTube as far as an exclusivity deal? Or do you think it just means that he's got a big fan base there and he wanted to stream on YouTube? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And for more news based around Ninja, stay here with Zero TV. There have been many journalists as well as reviewers out there that have gotten early copies of Cyberpunk 2077, and more so than being an actual copy, guys, it was more so just like the first mission, I believe it was, or the prologue to Cyberpunk 2077, and people kind of got their first hands-on impressions of this game. And let's just say that it's overwhelmingly positive. I really actually don't even know if I heard very many negatives whatsoever from really anyone that I listened to regarding this game. So I wanted to go ahead and talk about, Cyberpunk 2077, what this means for CD Projekt Red, especially if this is going to be a smash hit for them, and what it means for some of their other IPs. So let's talk about it. So guys, we've talked about Cyberpunk 2077 on the YouTube channel. You guys can check out all of that content here, and what I'll say is this is one of my most anticipated games. I'm incredibly excited about Cyberpunk 2077. But one of the big questions that's been coming up, and I keep on thinking about in my head, is if this is a really great success, a great game, but it's a huge success for CD Projekt Red, what does this mean for their other IP, most notably, of course, the Witcher series? Now, we've got 3 Witcher games up to this point. And look, they've been critically acclaimed throughout the course of, whether we're talking from just journalists all the way to, of course, just, players, like just gamers like ourselves that are playing the game. And we, most people really enjoyed the Witcher franchise as a whole. And the question lies in what's going to happen moving forward. Now, did they, after the 3rd game, they kind of, obviously there was a lot of things that they kind of wrapped up with DLC and things of that nature, but the question mark still is going to be there, guys, that could this franchise continue? I absolutely believe so. We've talked about The Witcher 4 and what that could look like moving forward here on YouTube, and obviously with Cyberpunk 2077 coming out, that there's a real question mark, though, that is this going to be a long drawn out series? Is that what CD Projekt Red is planning on here? This is going to be like their new IP, or are they going to kind of go back and forth between Cyberpunk games and the Witcher games? That remains to be seen. All we do know, though, is that Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be the next big IP for CD Projekt Red. I don't think that there's any doubt in our minds that when we look at the numbers, how many people are pre-ordering copies of Cyberpunk 2077, the hype that is building around this game, this is going to be a big title. Because not only is it, gonna pretty much more and more people are going to be able to play this game than, say, games like The Last of Us Part 2, which Last of Us Part 2, of course, got the most pre-orders ever on PlayStation, but see, it's a PlayStation exclusive. Cyberpunk 2077, however, is going to be on Xbox, on PlayStation, PC, and so there's more ways and more people who are going to be able and have access to playing it, which is going to be a big deal at the end of the day, guys. We're going to see big numbers, I believe, out of Cyberpunk 2077. We're going to get, we're probably going to get some pretty, big pre-order numbers as well, even as we get closer to the release of Cyberpunk. And so with that, I kind of wanted to, pass the question on to all of you. With Cyberpunk 2077, do you think it's going to be a smash hit? Because from what I've seen, guys, this looks like this is going to be a really big IP for CD Projekt Red. And sure, there's probably going to be some controversies in here. There's going to probably be people who have mixed feelings about that, about this game. But pretty much all the Witcher games, there was, people who had mixed feelings about it as well. So at the end of the day, is Cyberpunk 2077 going to be something that could be even bigger than The Witcher? Could this become a long drawn out franchise that, exceeds expectations and really kind of becomes like the next, really like even bigger than The Witcher? I mean, could this be a very well-renowned game overall? And I think it's got that written all over it, in my opinion. But what does that mean for The Witcher? Does that mean The Witcher series is done at this point? Or is it going to be on an indefinite hiatus, a limbo state? There's a lot of question marks there. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Cyberpunk 2077 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Star Wars Squadrons is scheduled to release, guys, October 2nd here this year in 2020. And with that, a lot of people are pretty excited about this game, this flight simulated style game that is going to be coming out and really could be the first of its kind when we're talking about in the Star Wars realm. Whether we're talking from a graphical standpoint, whatever way you look at it, there's going to be a number of ways that we can connect once again with the Star Wars franchise within a different type of game in Star Wars Squadrons. This flight simulated game, guys, I'm really intrigued by because, number one, I'm terrible when it comes to flight simulated games, and this looks like one that kind of has a real, a system in place for those who aren't very good at flight simulated games to those who are very advanced and very good at it, and you kind of can, work at it as you go. What also is really awesome to me is that there's single player as well as multiplayer, which we'll get to here shortly. In this segment of the show, though, guys, I want to talk about everything that we want in Star Wars Squadrons. And when I say we, guys, I'm mainly going to be giving you guys my opinions here. Some of you may agree with my opinion. Some of you may disagree. Let me know in the comment section below, though, what you guys want to see in Star Wars Squadrons. So let's get into it. So with that, guys, Star Wars Squadrons, as I said, coming out later this year. This is basically a follow-up here in many terms to the last Star Wars game that came out, that being Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And I felt that, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order deserved to have multiplayer modes or things to do outside of the campaign, simply because the campaign was great, even though it was very buggy at times and things of that nature. Overall, it was a great experience. I think multiplayer would have been awesome. With Star Wars Squadrons, we're getting multiplayer, which is awesome. So the things that I really want to see, guys, is when we're talking from a single player perspective, I want to learn about each of the fighters, each of the characters within this story. So a single player story, most likely you're going to be mainly flying around. You're going to be, of course, mainly in the sky, right? However, I want to have moments in this game where we're actually not in the sky. We're able to kind of learn about the characters, having, places where we're able to explore, whether it's in the stations or wherever it might be, guys. I'd love to have, moments that we actually go from being in the cockpit to, outside of it, and that being you're able to explore and learn more about, the story that they're trying to build around Squadron. So that's number one. That kind of also relates to the multiplayer side of it. I'd love to have, obviously most of the modes sound like you're going to be in the sky. It's a flight simulated game, but it would be really interesting to have where there's segments or battles that are, in the sky, and then you're fighting over, say, a jungle or something, and then you land, and then, the second segment of the fight is actually on ground, whereas you're fighting with, weapons and things of that nature. That would be a really interesting concept. I don't know if they're going to go that direction, but that's something I would love to see in the the multiplayer side. From the single player side, like I said, guys, having obviously most of the game is going to be you're going to be in the air, behind the cockpit, and enjoying the story from that perspective. But it'd be nice to also have it where there's a little bit of some variety there. Number 2 for me, guys, is going to be I think one of the most important things when we're talking about single player, we're talking about multiplayer, I think it's really also important to have co-op modes that you can play with your friends, whether you want to play, some co-op missions or play the story from a co-op perspective. I think also obviously being able to play with your friends in multiplayer is really important as well. But having more ways to connect with the story, connect with the game itself, whether it's by yourself, whether it's with your friends, or just playing with other people around the world. I think it's really important that you're able to do that within this game from even a story perspective. Because from what it sounds like, there's a single player story, right? But I would love to see also the ability to do a co-op story as well. I think that would be really awesome. The next thing for me, guys, and this is coming from a person who's just not very good at flight simulated games, I really hope that the system that they have in place, for beginners, people who are just not good at flight simulated games, they're able to kind of, they don't try to rush you through the ranks, so to speak. And I hope that the, skill-based, matchmaking is something that I think is going to be really important for a game like this, where, when I start playing the multiplayer, I'm playing against people who are of my same skill, not against people who are way better than I am at flight simulated games and such. I hope that's something that they really, keep in mind, and I'm sure they are. But I just really, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that they, keep these things, sort of grounded for those that aren't very good at flight simulated games. I think it's really important at the end of the day. Also, one thing I would love, guys, is to see how this story, from the story perspective of Star Wars Squadrons, how it ties into the overarching story of Star Wars as a whole. Where does this fit in canon? Where are there going to be segments where we kind of reminds us of things from the movies or from the books, whatever it might be? I think that would be really interesting to see where this story kind of fits into the grand landscape of Star Wars as a whole. And so I hope they're able to I hope they do that here within the story. I think that would be great. The next thing, guys, for me is from a multiplayer perspective, is having, the ability for a number of different customization items, being able to customize your TIE fighter, or you're able to, customize within the interior, the exterior, which it seems like you're able to do, but also just being able to customize in a major way, but having earnable items within the multiplayer, I think is going to be really important, where you're able to earn different items, and then you can kind of show those things off to your friends or to other people that are playing multiplayer, and then having different ranks as like a ranking system, as well as different emblems and titles. When you're in the in-game lobbies, other people have those as well, and you get to see what other people have. And if everything is more so earnable than things that you can just pay for, more and more people are going to put really grind a lot more into the game to try to get those earnable items. And that's what I've noticed from games like Call of Duty and such. When you do have earnable items, people try to grind for those things a lot more. And so I hope they do that here with Star Wars Squadrons, having a lot of customization. I'm also hoping that the different types of fighters and such, you're able to have all kinds of different fighters. The more, the better, in my opinion, that you're able to customize, or being able to just fly around. The other thing is that when it comes to the multiplayer, guys, I'm hoping that they add more modes down the road. It sounds like there's only going to be a few different types of multiplayer modes. And so I'm really hoping, though, that they kind of add on to that. And like I was saying, where, maybe part of the fight is in the sky and then part of it's on the ground. I think things like that could add a lot of variety. It would get a lot of people out there to try out a game like this, because I think there's going to be a lot of people who play the game, obviously, but I just don't know, as far as concurrent, players or people who always are coming back to play the game. I just am wondering what that's going to look like, because even though it's Star Wars and it's going to sell a lot, the question lies in, are people going to be coming back in a major way to do a flight simulated game? And we know flight simulated games do well for at least that community. There's a number of big communities within the flight simulated realm, but I just don't know the Star Wars fans at large, are they going to continuously come back to playing Star Wars Squadrons? That remains to be seen, but I think if you cater to not only the flight simulated people, but also those who are into shooters or into whatever, some of these other game modes might be something to really think about if you are, Motive Studios. But with that, guys, those are the things that I want to see based out of Star Wars Squadrons, what we've seen, what we know kind of so far, and what I'm hoping we see in the future. Let me know what you guys want to see in Star Wars Squadrons in the comment section down below. And for more Star Wars Squadrons content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Battle Royale is the fastest growing game mode in the world, guys, over time, and more AAA developers and publishers are coming into this space. The newest one being Hyperscape, coming out from Ubisoft Montreal. And what I gotta say, guys, about this title in particular is it's got some very unique capabilities to it. Some very unique mechanics as well, and I'm very excited to see where they go with this, with this game as a whole, guys, when it comes out on consoles and things of that nature. I think that there are going to be some very exciting differences to Hyperscape versus other Battle Royale games. We'll just kind of have to wait and see, but what I wanted to go ahead and do, guys, in this segment of the show is talk about everything that we know so far about Hyperscape. So let's talk about it. In an article that was written by Alexandra of Screen Rant, Ubisoft Montreal's new free-to-play Battle Royale first-person shooter game, Hyperscape, wants to shake things up with hacks and Twitch connections, which right off the bat, guys, the hacks and Twitch connections are absolutely awesome. I love the Twitch connections. I can't wait to see this evolve over time, but the hacks is really interesting, and I've already said this on the YouTube channel, guys, and you guys can check out all the Hyperscape content here on the YouTube channel, but I've stated in the past that Hyperscape, I'm wondering if this is within the really within the Watch Dogs universe, and this is starting to kind of build a case for that. Obviously, guys, Hyperscape very well may be its own thing, but it would be very interesting to see Ubisoft take the approach that Respawn did with Apex Legends, whereas Apex Legends is within the Titanfall universe. What if Hyperscape was within the Watch Dogs universe? It's another conversation for another time, guys, but I think that there's a lot to be said with that. But Ubisoft Montreal has revealed a new free-to-play Battle Royale first-person shooter game called Hyperscape that promises a fast-paced, intense gameplay experience. The multiplayer game is being developed by Ubisoft Montreal, the same developer which is also bringing the game world titles like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Now, for a limited time, Hyperscape was available, guys, in the closed technical tests on PC, giving players a chance to test out the gameplay ahead of its debut. Now, one thing that bothered me was it was too bad that the tech test was only on PC. I wish it was also on consoles, guys, but maybe they just thought we should keep it with just PC and then we'll release it to the whole world when it's ready. If you don't do a tech test based around everything that you're releasing the game on, you're probably going to have bugs and issues and things of that nature when it comes out on consoles. So that's the only reason why it kind of bothered me that they only did it on PC and not on consoles, because they're stating that this is going to have crossplay. This is going to be, released on everything, that being like consoles and things of that nature. So that was the only thing that kind of bothered me about the tech test, that it was only on PC. Both the Crown Rush mode and Dark Haze mode are available to play during the test. It will also feature a free 10-tier battle pass. Although an official date for the game's release hasn't been confirmed, there's talk that it could debut as early as July 12th. While it's unclear exactly when Hyperscape will officially launch, it has been confirmed that it will be accessible on consoles as well as PC. The game will also support cross-platform play between consoles and PC, which is super exciting. Now, Hyperscape's gameplay and systems explained. Hyperscape is set in the year 2054 in the futuristic environment of Neo Arcadia, a battle royale map focused on intense and vigorous combat. The world is vast as players have the option to explore everything from skyscrapers and rooftops to narrow streets and building interiors. Crown Rush is the main mode feature in Hyperscape, which can be played solo or in a 3-player squad. There will be a looting system in Hyperscape, but what sets it apart from other Battle Royale type games is the presence of hacks. These are specific abilities that players can find by looting in the same way they can uncover weapons. The game will allow players to switch out the hacks as they please, and players can also hold up to 2 hacks at once. Even better, if a player stumbles across a hack or weapon they already have, they can gain an updated version by fusing the items together, which I think is one of the coolest things about Hyperscape, guys. Being able to hack a weapon, or if they already have, they can gain an updated version by fusing them together. It was an incredible concept. I love that. I think that's going to be something that is actually tried in a number of other battle royales, whether we're talking Apex, Fortnite, and such. I think that's going to be a big difference for Hyperscape to some of these other BRs. I love the concept of it. When a player dies in Hyperscape, they can become an echo, which is different from a spectator because it allows players to scout for their team. Then when an enemy dies, a respawn point will allow the player to re-enter the game, adding to the fast-paced gameplay of the title. Finally, once the final squad or players remain, the showdown phase commences. Players can win through one of two ways. A crown will appear in the final portion of the map, and so players can steal the crown and keep it in their grasp for 45 seconds. Alternatively, players can choose to destroy all of their competitors before leaving only them left to claim the crown. So the concept of this, guys, is like, it's similar to some of your other BRs, but it's also different. And that's what I love about this. There is more of a complexity to this game. As far as, strategizing. If you die, it's not like you go to the gulag. It's not like, you just kind of sit there and you kind of spectate your other people on your team. But you become an echo, and that echo is you going around the map looking for the enemy, telling your teammates where they are, and that's something that adds an element of strategy. Now, does that mean that Hyperscape is going to be like, the first big battle royale within, battle royale esport? It's hard to say, guys, but what I'm saying is just from a pure playing and competitive perspective, this is like something that is really interesting, and it's gonna create a lot of really cool, in my personal opinion, a really cool, a number of dynamics to it when it comes to strategy. Hyperscape is being made in partnership with Twitch, so players can allow their followers to tune in during real time by using the Hyperscape Crowncast Twitch extension. Even more impressive, viewers can interact with the battle by voting on events that will have an impact on the outcome. What makes Twitch so unique is the real-time engagement between our streamers and their fans. VP of Community Product at Twitch said of Hyperscape, while traditionally this kind of interaction has been about commenting on gameplay, Hyperscape transports viewers into the game themselves to serve as active participants, which is absolutely awesome. That's like another thing, and this is why, guys, I've got to say, Hyperscape is very unique in its own way. I mean, obviously, they really took this take on, this ultra-futuristic type style, which I really like. Similar, it kind of reminds you a little bit of Apex, but this is like an actual city versus that of, more like jungle region and such in Apex. What I love, though, is that they're really taking this approach that similar to kind of feels a little bit like Watch Dogs, feels a little bit like Tron. It feels like it's got like that just like ultra futuristic feel to it, but they've added some things in this BR that are different than other battle royales out there. And I think what's going to happen, guys, is as more and more battle royales come out, the really important thing is that they're going to have to evolve with time. One of the big things I've wanted with Hyperscape was to have other modes outside of BR. This looks like a game that would be really cool to play, like just on some multiplayer maps and like different maps other than, Neo Arcadia. Being able to play Team Deathmatch and Search and Destroy and things of that nature, similar to what you can do with Call of Duty when you don't want to play Warzone anymore. It would be really awesome to see that here with Hyperscape. But what I love about this, at the end of the day, guys, I love being able to fuse the weapons together if you pick up a gun that you already have. I love the idea of becoming an echo when you die, and you can kind of help your team out, which really creates some strategy. I love the idea of the crown coming out, and you have whether you want to hold the crown for 45 seconds or you want to let everyone else try to get it, and then you go ahead and try to take everyone out. That's there's different strategies for your play styles as a player. I love that concept, guys. I'm excited for this game, really. I mean, from everything I've seen, all of that, I plan on certainly playing it as well, guys. But I just really like what they're kind of going for here. It's different. than the other BRs that are out there. You know, obviously with Twitch, they're like the first game that's kind of like integrated with Twitch, where everyone who is watching the streamers can kind of choose what they want, you know, to, you know, which game mode they want to, you know, whether it's a game mode or, you know, ways in which they want to kind of interact with, you know, with the game itself and how things can change and such. It's a beautiful thing. It's really cool. I think it's a really awesome concept, and we'll see where it goes from here. But with that, guys, that's everything that we know so far about Hyperscape. I'll be sure to give you guys more content based around Hyperscape as we, you know, as things kind of really start to roll out here, as we start seeing what's going to happen here. But let me know what you guys think about the game so far in the comment section down below. And for more Hyperscape content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.